On this episode of Baseball Barbacast, how many players are the San Francisco Giants about to trade, and who do we want to see in the home run derby? Let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome. Baseball Barbacast, the only baseball podcast in the world that would like to see Lionel Messi pull that off against the Oakland A's on a Tuesday in late September. I'm Jake Mintz. That's Jordan Shusterman, and you gotta say, that was the greatest athletic performance we have seen in the Harry S. Truman Athletic Complex parking lot since the 2014 AL wildcard game.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, right? Nothing else this was in Kansas City, correct? Is what you're
Sorry,
referring to?
Mahomes.
Yeah, no, the Chiefs haven't done anything during that span. Well said, my friend. Yeah, that Messi guy, he's still kicking the ball into the net. He's doing it.
He's almost as good as Nolan McLean. On today's episode of Baseball Barbacast, we've got Giants chatter, we've got Derby chatter, we've got All-Star chatter. We're going to have a great show. One team that won't be doing a fire sale this summer is Argentina. But let's focus on a team that is going to blow it up, the San Francisco Giants. Things have not gone to plan in the Bay this 2026 baseball season. GM Buster Posey, franchise legend atop the baseball hierarchy in San Francisco, was aggressive over the winter, really aggressive over the past calendar year, bringing in Rafael Devers, Willy Adames, Matt Chapman extension a year and a half ago, and that has worked out really poorly. The Giants, I believe, have the second worst record in the National League as of this recording. And news trickled out earlier this week from a different Buster Olney of ESPN, saying that the Giants are open to offers for their three highest paid position players, Rafael Devers, Willy Adames, Matt Chapman, among other obvious trade candidates like Luis Arraez and Robbie Ray. It is only June 17th. The deadline is still over a month away, and yet we already have reporting that the Giants are done with this season. Jordan, what do you make of this?
Yeah, we hear from Buster. Ken Rosenthal wrote a similar piece kind of reporting this, and if you're hearing this from multiple reporters, that's because they're talking to people in front offices that are hearing from the San Francisco Giants and saying, oh, okay, they are starting to have these conversations, because when you have, first of all, if you're going to be trying to trade players that are not rentals, those are usually complicated conversations that take many weeks and many formats. As we learned a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, it is both fitting and depressing that we are having this conversation almost exactly a year after they swung this deal for Rafael Devers. We learned that was something that even it took a while to kind of get to that move that shocked the baseball world. But it's just a disaster, and the Giants came out of the gate so badly that we were already starting to have these conversations. We wanted to give them time to maybe find some semblance of momentum, and it just hasn't happened whatsoever, and their playoff odds have sunk to 3% on Fangraphs. As you mentioned, they do have the second worst record in the National League. They are closer to the Rockies than they are any other National League team. In fact, they could be almost tied with the Rockies by the end of today, as their Tuesday game was suspended due to rain in Atlanta. So that game, as we speak, is technically still in progress. They will play another game against the Braves, a much better baseball team. So on one hand, it's like, yeah, duh, this team stinks. They're not going anywhere. Why would they buy at the deadline or anything? To me, what is so ridiculous about this is how much Buster Posey has now in this case, this is reacting to the fact that it's not working, but just the amount of moves, how much he's tried to reshape the team in his image and now has to do it again and again and again and again.
Yes.
That's what is so dizzying.
It hasn't been that long. I mean, right. Buster Posey takes the helm at the end of the 2024 season. Now, he's like a board member for the Giants before that, and it plays a huge role in the Matt Chapman extension. But he is the top boss man only for, a year and a half at this point. And yet I'm already like does he need to be on the hot seat? And I think the answer is yes. Now, is Buster Posey on the hot seat? No, because he's Buster Posey. It is more difficult to can a guy like that, but his moves to this point have been pretty disastrous. And even like you can pick them apart move by move, but if you just look at the facts here, they're the second worst team in the National League, and their payroll is over $200 million. That cannot happen.
No. Right. And that's while also still probably not spending as much as a lot of people would have liked them to. I think let's go to the Devers trade, okay? Because something I've been thinking about, and I have a tough time talking about this deal because I am like #1 Rafael Devers fan and have been for a long time. And even this season, as he has a 101 OPS plus, like this is not what you were hoping for. I totally acknowledge that. He has looked a little bit better. There have been stretches where he looks like a really good hitter. Now, and there have been pieces written this week being like, oh my gosh, this has been a disaster for both sides. But let's keep this simple. For all the crap we rightfully give the Red Sox for immediately then trading James Tibbs and Kyle Harrison, I mean, also it's like, okay, well, couldn't the Giants use Kyle Harrison? This guy that you drafted and thought that you had something. I mean, that's also something that you could criticize them for, some of the pieces that they've flipped away. But regardless, it's the fact that they have brought in all of these veteran pieces. You spent on Willy Adames. You put together this pitching staff that I guess you felt good about, with Adrian Hauser and Tyler Mahle, and a bullpen that projected to be one of the worst in baseball and has been generally one of the worst in baseball. It's that you've spent all this money, you've brought in these veteran pieces, you felt like you put together, and I got fooled because I was like, you know what, there are a lot of good baseball players on this team. And other than Arise, who we can now talk about, his stint with the Giants might be very short, none of them have resulted in a winning ball club. And it just goes back to Posey and the general premise that a lot of us felt when he originally took over, which was, why are you qualified to do this? And unfortunately, thus far, the skeptics have been proven correct there.
100%. And yeah, you're right. The Devers thing is tough because we liked that deal at the time for them because that was the type of player they had been lacking for such a long time. It is a classic case of multiple things can be true. I think when you look at this trade, it is probably going to turn out poorly for the Giants. And it was also a PR catastrophe for the Red Sox. If the Red Sox had kept Kyle Harrison and kept James Tibbs, I think they win that trade even with the PR mess. They have taken that money and given it in theory to like Ranger Suarez, who has been good and will be helpful for them down the road. But it's like, in my mind, what was the point of the Red Sox like getting those like it just doesn't make sense to give them a W at this point. But let's talk about what Rafael Devers means for the Giants in 2026. Is Rafael Devers going to get traded this year? I would be shocked. Now, to be clear, we said something very similar a year ago. In fact, Rafael Devers getting traded a year ago was barely on our radar. It was not even on the bingo board, right? It wasn't a thought. He was fighting with Alex Cora and the Red Sox front office about playing third base or first base, whatever. We didn't think it was going to happen. I would be shocked again for different reasons. He is going to be impossible to move unless he catches absolute fire over the next month before the deadline. No one's going to want to take the rest of that contract on. Now, if the Giants eat some of that money, it becomes a more palatable proposition for somebody. But I think the Giants are going to wait to see if he can rebound at some point in the next couple of years before trying to flip him or hoping that you're good again when he's good again. Do you think there's a chance he gets traded?
He is either going to be, even if he heats up, because I don't think that would shock anybody. Everyone has known that Rafael Devers is a good hitter, and I still believe he is a really good hitter. But the way that people were talking about that, even when he signed the extension, let alone then becomes this weird trade piece that they're desperately trying to get off of, the way that people were talking about it, for as much as we've talked about, I'd love to have Rafael Devers on my team. I don't care. It's not my money. People around the game were saying, yeah, that contract's awful. That is not something that I would want to sign up for. And it's just hard to envision. Clearly, it took an extreme set of circumstances to get him traded in the first place. And now it just doesn't feel like something that's real. And honestly,
and I think
if the Giants
that's especially true now that we don't know what the frickin', financial system of our sport is going to be. Like if we wake up a year from now and you are limited, teams are more limited in what they can spend, and you're giving a significant portion of your cap to Rafael Devers.
For sure. Whew. Well, and that point is something that is constantly in the back of my mind with a lot of big contracts around the league. So I agree with you, but let's put that to the side. The last point I want to make about Devers before we look at the other players on this roster as trade candidates is what I'm about to say might sound silly, but I still truly believe it. They are still going to have to build around him. Like, this is still a hitter that I would want to have on my team. As bad as the contract is, and you're looking 6 years, whatever. The Giants, as we are talking about now, are probably going to trade their rentals and maybe even move on from a Chapman. We'll see. But Devers is still someone that Buster Posey, I do believe, is still going to think that the 2027 Giants can be good. You can say that's stupid. You have no chance to do that. But if you do that, Rafael Devers, I think, is going to be part of that equation. So you have to look, and I think who else is going to be a part of that equation? Maybe that's a good way to think about this.
Because Bryce Eldridge, Logan Webb.
Other than that, because Matt Chapman is the interesting one. Now, he is also still owed a lot of money over the next 5 seasons. He is one that I can more imagine someone talking themselves into trading for. Willy Adames, I don't really believe that right now because of how he's looked early in this contract and the money that he's owed. Chapman, I believe, is someone I could imagine getting traded. Adames, Devers, definitely not. And then, as you mentioned, Lee, Eldridge, Webb, those are the pillars.
So Adames' contract would need to be paid down by the Giants if he were to be traded. He is owed $31.1 million per year the rest of this season and 5 more after that. My biggest concern with him is that his defensive numbers this year have completely fallen off a cliff. Like he is rated very poorly at shortstop, and that was kind of the floor to his value. And it's like, I don't foresee a team trading for a player like that, even if it's getting paid down.
Can we just marvel at the fact that has happened to Willy Adames in the year that Luis Arraez is like plus 10 OAA? I mean,
is Ron Washington like, what is he doing to Willy Adames, right? Like, for all of the credit that Wash fairly deserves for Arraez, like, someone write the Ron Washington hit piece for ruining Willy Adames. See how that one plays, how many clicks that gets. And then Chapman, you're right, is a much more compelling piece for a number of teams because of what he provides. He has been much more consistent. He got off to an awful start this year, has rebounded offensively, but the defensive floor there is just so high, and he has been that player for a very long time, similar to like Cardinals era Nolan Arenado, right? Where it's like, yeah, there's still some zip in this bat, but the glove is what is moving the needle for you. So then let's wonder aloud, who can acquire Matt Chapman? It's $25 million, a little over that, per year for 4 more after this one. I'm curious how much of that the Giants would pay off, what they would want to get back in a trade. Obviously, that's like there are levers there. You can take on more money to give up a worse prospect. Teams that make any semblance of sense. Who's on your radar here?
I mean, who is good and doesn't have a third baseman is where you start.
Now that's what's tricky. That's what's tricky about that question is who is good and doesn't have a third baseman is different than who is good and has an expensive, old, declining third baseman or underperforming third baseman. Like the Cubs have had terrible production from third base.
Right.
They have Alex Bregman. The Padres have gotten no production from third base. They have Manny Machado. And so when you look around the league and you're like, who can use a third baseman? Well, it's kind of teams that have a third baseman. Bo Bichette, right? Like,
Yep. So the Yankees are an interesting one in that regard because they are still paying Ryan McMahon a good amount of money, and they now have Caballero in the mix there with Volpe back up. Like they have players that can play third. Max Schumann, respect. But that still seems like not something that they would prioritize right now, certainly at the deadline. The Phillies
Now,
are an interesting one.
wait,
That's one that
let me
I'm
do
looking at pretty
Yankees quick.
closely.
The
Sure.
way a Yankees trade would function is that you would do Chapman for McMahon, right? Chapman, in a way, is just like a souped up version of McMahon that hits from the right side, right?
Yeah.
And you then have prospects going, like better quality players going from the Yankees to the Giants.
Yes.
Alongside McMahon.
Probably
like,
that's
if
correct.
the Giants were willing to take on that McMahon money, which would even out somewhat, then the Yankees can, dig into the farm and send the Giants something. That is how that would go. There's no way the Yankees can roster both of those players at the same time. That just doesn't make sense.
I agree. Now, also just a point on the Giants, and this is relevant for all these conversations. You keep referencing, would the Giants eat the money, then you could get better prospects. The point of any of these offloading of these deals, in theory, is to save money. Different franchises have different appetites to just eat money and say, yeah, we will pay a player that's not going to play for us so that we can get better prospects, so that we can have more flexibility. But
when
remember,
the Cardinals win the NL Central next year or the year after, we will look back and talk about the offseason that just occurred, where the Cardinals kept eating all this money, the Sonny Gray money, the Wilson Contreras money, the Nolan Arenado money, in order to get more interesting prospects back.
Yeah, but also, in the Giants' standpoint, well, what are you going to do with that? I mean, we can't speak to what they're going to do with it in free agency.
Sure.
As we saw, part of the Devers deal was an expense. That was, we are taking this, basically this whole thing on.
It was a signing.
That's like a signing, right? And as we've said, as we just laid out, that has not exactly gone great. But what are you going to do with that? Because the Giants, as we mentioned, should still be a team with a top 10 or at least up their payroll. What are you going to do with it? They can't spend it right now. Are there other big contracts that are like Devers that they could get that they're building around? That seems like a bad idea to repeat that strategy.
No.
So that's just something to think about what are they looking for and how are they building?
Let's just look at contenders and do a speed run. Yes, no, maybe. Braves are in that weird category of like Padres and the teams that have like these expensive Cubs, like third baseman that they're like Austin Riley's there. He's playing third base. Dodgers are not a contender because they have Max Muncy. The Brewers would make some sense, but they're not paying for that. And they have so many infield prospects that no way. The Cardinals as a home for Matt Chapman. That one is interesting to me.
I agree. That would be that would really be something. That is a position that I think they just sent Nolan Gorman down, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty significant considering how important he seemed to be as part of their rebuild. And yeah, I mean, the Cardinals are a team that we are still trying to figure out. Are you going to try and get better, like get a lot better? The reason I do like the Cardinals one, though, is that's one where the Cardinals would probably be willing to just take on more of that contract than a lot of the other teams would. And if the Giants are strictly looking to offload Matt Chapman's money, which, by the way, they shouldn't be, that would be embarrassing because Matt Chapman is still good. And if you are going to make any of these deals, hopefully you're getting stuff for the future that's not just financial flexibility. However, if you're the Cardinals, you are a team, because you've shed so much payroll recently, that you can absolutely absorb a contract like Matt Chapman that would raise the floor and ceiling of your major league team. Now, do they want to commit to Matt Chapman's contract considering they do have other prospects? Like it's a little tight, but I can see it.
So 2 reasons I like this landing spot. It's not just for this season. It's not them going all in on this season in order to punt in the future. Like, Chapman would be there for a number of years. Having that type of veteran presence for a young team would be great. And then it's not as if they have any can't miss corner infield prospects in the high minors, right? Like Blaze Jordan is playing third base and there's some interesting things about him. But like, I'm looking at their top prospects, Jordan, and there are no infielders above AA that you have to worry about blocking. They have been so intent on acquiring pitching in trades. And so I do think Chapman makes a ton of sense in St. Louis if the Giants do end up deciding to trade him. Let's just do Philly quickly because they are an interesting landing spot. Alec Boehm obviously playing third base. The Phillies have been doing some moving around recently. We had Kyle Schwarber playing first last night. There might be a world where like you have Schwarber play more outfield. You have Bryce at first. You can DH Bryce. You can put Boehm at, like there are ways to do it. Do they want to take that contract on? Well, what's another one on the pile?
To add another contract that is that big to push it even farther. Maybe Middleton says screw it, and he kind of fits exactly the kind of player that you would expect. We know they were trying to get Bo Bichette. We know that they are probably thankful that that did not happen at this point. But Chapman would be a perfect fit there. What would happen with Boehm? Who cares? Respectfully. I could see that.
The way you just said that was hilarious because it's like, no offense, I think that outfit looks awful on you. Who cares about Alec Boehm? Respectfully. What a sentence. I think those are the main ones. There's a Pirates argument. Nick Gonzalez has been pretty good at third base. Is he really a guy that you have to build around? I don't know. I think that for a team who's been playing bad defense, Chapman would be a really nice boost. And then in the AL, I can't see anyone besides the Yankees. I don't think there's a team that makes sense beside the Yankees.
Well, the only thing I'll say about the Pirates is just like there's no evidence of them. Like them taking on a contract like that would just be so far out of the norm that, again, maybe they want to surprise us and suddenly start doing that. It would just be very, very out of character.
The AL teams either all have good third basemen. Tampa, Caminero, Cleveland, Jose Ramirez, Toronto just paid Okamoto. The White Sox have Miguel Vargas, or they're just not in a position to go for it right now.
Detroit.
And so Detroit's not going to do that. The Red Sox aren't going to do that, right? Like, and so I think if he does get dealt, it'll be the Yankees or the National League. Tough time to be a Giants fan. We should probably just quickly talk about Luis Ariz and Robbie Ray. I mean, Robbie Ray is
those
like
guys are getting traded.
Like 100% getting traded. Robbie Ray, who is the most Australian, non-Australian I have ever seen. He just exudes down under, even though he's not. Real decline this year. Like the fastball is not playing like it once was, which was kind of his whole thing. Teams that could use arms. The Cubs could use an arm. The Diamondbacks are very right-handed in the rotation. Same thing with the Orioles and the Padres. Someone will get him. He can help you. He won't save your life. Luis Ariz, more singles than the Kraft Factory. A living, breathing, nice piece of hitting. Now, with defense. Free agent at the end of this year. He will get traded. There aren't too many teams that could use a second baseman, and at this point, that's where he has to play because apparently he is good at this now. Rangers could then use Josh Smith as more of a utility type. The Nats would be very fun. I know Nasim Nunez just had the game of his life last night and can really pick it. But if the Nats wanted to do like a we're going for it kind of, you wouldn't have to give up anything significant, I think, to get Luis Ariz. Rays fits in perfectly for the high contact jamboree down in Tampa. Orioles have Jackson Holliday play third, give up on Kobe Mayo. I don't know. And then back to the Padres is really like the perfect answer. You just have Tatis move back to the outfield, less Samad Taylor, put Luis Ariz at second base. That is the funniest outcome in my mind. I also think it's the most realistic outcome at this point.
Yeah, I guess he was in some ways perfect there. Obviously, it did not. They didn't bring him back, but I don't know. Where are this? At the same time, yes, the fact that he's now a great second baseman would seemingly open up like, okay, who needs a second baseman? To me, it's more important that he just looks more like Luis Ariz, the hitter again. I just think that the best version of Luis Ariz that's challenging for a batting title, that's also really encouraging. So it's someone that there's probably a team with.
Here's my Luis Ariz prediction
that would still,
I disagree with you. Because here's why I disagree with that point. Some team will give up the prospect capital that values Luis Arraez as a second baseman, and that team will simply give up more than the team that sees him as a DH or a first baseman, right? If that is a thing that he's providing, someone will pay for it. My prediction for Luis Arraez, and this is kind of sad, someone in the larger playoff contention universe will lose a second baseman or third baseman or shortstop due to injury that we don't know yet, and they will see Luis Arraez as kind of the fill-in for that person. Because right now, there is not really an obvious landing spot amongst the contenders besides second base. Back to Miami.
Yeah.
That could be fun. Xavier Edwards, disrespect. Let's take a break and talk about something that Luis Arraez probably hates, the home run derby. And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. We are less than a month away from what is genuinely like my favorite evening, my favorite event on the baseball calendar, the home run derby, a night that exists solely because it is a good time. It is a stage for stardom. It is a showcase to take some of the brighter faces in our game and present them to a national audience, this time on Netflix. So what we're going to do for a couple minutes is run through the league and just give you our dream home run derby field. Now, it is important to understand how the derby is selected. MLB, Major League Baseball, the baseball deep state, reaches out to various players and says, would you like to hit home runs? And then those players either say yes or no. And then MLB moves down their secret list, their ranking of who they want to be in the derby. And they just kind of keep going until they get to 8.
And every year it kind of fluctuates. We've had years like 2 years ago in Texas, where it was probably, and I love Teoscar Hernandez. I'm glad he got to shine there. That was probably the worst one we've had since we've been covering it. We have been at every derby since 2016. And
this will be our 10th derby. Our 10th derby in person.
How about that? So we've been very fortunate to see this event in person. And we've also said, and you mentioned the Netflix part of this, we know it is a very different experience to watch it at home. And that the quality of the broadcast and how easy it is to follow, and I know the format changing has impacted that, has also impacted how much people like this. But for us in the stadium, who are we really wanting to see in this field of 8?
Selfishness. Yeah. And I would say to the people of Philadelphia, go to this. If you can spend your hard-earned lira on either the All-Star game or the home run festival, go to this. It is so good in person. It is so good in person. So what makes a good derby? Diversification, diversity, different types of things. Lefties and righties, youngsters and old heads, moonshots, laser beams, new faces and old faces. You want a little bit of everything. A guy to boo, a guy to cheer. And so let's start at the top and begin with the hometown heroes, Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper. Two host players have not gone alongside one another in the derby since 2017. That was Justin Bour and Giancarlo Stanton. It has only happened a couple of other times where there are two guys. There's usually one guy from the team that is hosting the hometown crowd can get behind. It is impossible to think about this derby without either Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper.
I agree. I think that the case for both of these guys is both obvious, but if you were to split between the two, is interesting, right? So Bryce Harper, we have not seen in the Derby since he won it in 2018. That was also notably Kyle Schwarber. But more notably in DC, right? So that was part of why Bryce was so excited to do it. Now, I believe that was not the only time he did it, because he also participated very early on in his career. Yep, in 2013. Now, Kyle Schwarber's history with this event, just to review, I believe that
this is his
2018
third participation.
So
third
2018
he
was
did LA in 2022, and his closest to victory was in DC in the final against Bryce Harper. The reason that I think that both will do it. Go ahead.
I'm just remembering that. Do you remember what happened in 22?
It was like controversial. Yeah. In 22? No, I don't. Oh, he lost to Pujols?
He lost to Pujols. Pujols was doing it as the old head, as the 8th seed, and Pujols rallied and
he
Pujols
pulled
almost
a
beat
Messi.
Soto in the second round. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Schwarber was the 1 seed in that one, but we have not seen him since then. So this would be a quote unquote return to this event for both of these guys.
However, Kyle Schwarber last year did participate in the home run derby after the All-Star game.
It's true.
Right? And I think that is a great connection to have him do it. Harper may not understand the benefits or detriments of raw milk or the dangers of cycling one's blood out and into one's body. He does understand the moment. Bryce Harper understands theater. And for that reason, I think if these two are in the Derby, if these two are in the All-Star game, they will be in the Derby. I think the best case scenario is if these two match up in the finals. Can you imagine how fun that would be? Now, it would lack like a level of intensity maybe because they are teammates, but there is also a dynamic between these two that like this was supposed to be Harper's team, Harper's franchise for the next, eon of our lives. Here Schwarber shows up, kind of takes some of that shine away. And in 2025, it becomes Kyle Schwarber's team. Last year, like he's the star in the city last season. This year, Bryce has been a little bit better. Schwarber maybe a little bit down from his incredible season a year ago. So there is something very compelling between the surface for these two of competing for the limelight on the stage in front of the home crowd, right? So I hope they both do it, and I hope they face off. I think that could be great.
I agree. I'm sure this is something that we will. My guess is one of these guys will be the first one that gets announced, if not together. Right. I mean, but the reason we're having this conversation now is because, we're still probably a couple weeks away from hearing the official participation, but we're going to start hearing players being asked, are you going to do it? And them giving vague answers. Sometimes that means they are going to do it. Sometimes that means they aren't.
Nats manager Blake Butera was asked earlier this week in his press conference that I was in, would you be okay with your guys doing the Derby? And in my mind, that was like, oh, we got to get on this because we got to dream while we can. And let's move now to Shohei Ohtani, actually, because that is what a dream is. Shohei Ohtani is not going to do the home run derby. Okay. Mm-hmm. Shohei Ohtani is worried about winning a Cy Young. That is priority number 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is his dog. 6 is his wife and his child. Winning a World Series is probably up there too. Not getting hurt. But he cares way more, way more about pitching right now than he does about hitting. He did do the Derby once upon a time back in 2021, put on a show at Coors Field, the Ohtani All-Star Game. I will never forget it. A memory that will live on in my brain forever. We're dreaming though. And the best version of any home run derby has Shohei Ohtani in it.
I have thought about, is Ohtani going to pitch in the All-Star game? Obviously, that is probably going to be a discussion with Dave Roberts. Like, would Dave Roberts
who will
rather
be there
him do
and his manager,
right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And so it is, I guess, his decision. I'm sure MLB would want Ohtani to literally do everything. They'd put him in the futures game if they could. They'd have him announce all the draft picks. They'd have him do,
home run derby X.
They'll take Ohtani as much as they can. I think it's more likely that he pitches in the All-Star game than hits in the home run derby. You made the right point. Yeah, ever again. Yeah. I'll push back on that. I'll push back on that. I'll push it back on that.
I don't think he does it again.
I think we remember now. 21 was weird. He lost in the first round to Soto. He did hit some incredible home runs, but it was Coors Field, and he did not end up being the story of that derby. Also, I remember him saying after the fact, wow, that was as exhausted. Even Shohei Ohtani, who's doing the most baseball, he looked completely gassed.
That was the most exhausted Shohei Ohtani was until he had the World Series game where he had to play 18 innings and pitch the next day.
Correct.
Let's move on from Ohtani because as much as we'd like to see him, he won't be there this year. Mike Trout is a slightly more realistic dream. Mike Trout has never done the Derby. It is akin in my mind to LeBron James never doing the dunk contest, right? He won't do it because he has more injuries than a infirmary.
Not this
but
year.
For him, not this year, but they're always lurking. There's always a worry. As far as we know, he just pulled his calf muscle, knock on wood. Like, time is short.
Come on now.
This is the time for Trout to do it, because the Angels will not have another All-Star game almost certainly during his career. He will not be as beloved in any city he travels to for the rest of his All-Star game existence than Philadelphia, the city nearby which he grew up. They're probably not going to do an All-Star game in Millville. He's having this renaissance season. If not now, when? For Mike Trout in the Derby.
Yeah, I mean, it's set up for so many reasons for him to do it. My slight pushback is that I do think Mike Trout is generally beloved most places, and any city would be overjoyed to have him participate in the Home Run Derby.
But it would hit different.
Yes,
if he I just want you to imagine this, okay? They do the intros. Mike Trout walks out in a custom Eagles jersey. That park would lose its mind. If he did the Derby in an Eagles jersey, Rob Manfred would fine his ass to Kingdom Come, but it would be, that would be perfect.
I mean, it is and it isn't, because it's just like, yes, we get it. He's from near there. He's a huge Eagles fan.
Different though,
he's not. But it's not Bryce Harper. He's not trying to. What does he to pander to Philadelphia for? I mean, it could just be his own love of the Eagles
for fun, dude.
I'm skeptical of that. Now, I like you said, I still think this is the most likely
Trout is
he's ever
going to
do
sleep
it,
at home. He's going to sleep at home for the All-Star game. Like, that is so great.
Probably, yeah. I think more importantly, the fact that it is very likely that he will be there for the first time in 3 years. It will be his 12th All-Star game, which only 38 players ever have gotten to 12 All-Star games, none of whom are active, obviously, is a huge deal. So I'm just so glad that it's likely he's going to be back and probably starting. That's great. And if we get the Derby, that would be amazing. But I'm still not really counting on it. But I'm not ruling it out. This is the year to dream and think that it is possible.
Let's stay local. All news is local. Nick Kurtz, the big slugger for the Sacktown A's. He had the longest home run this season until last night when Drake Baldwin surpassed him. Incredible. Had the longest home run in baseball last year, 493 feet to dead center at the Sutter Health in West Sacramento. Nick Kurtz, a man whose nickname, the Big Amish, is hilarious because he has an overabundance of power. The irony there is not lost on neither I nor Alanis Morissette. Nick Kurtz is going to do the Derby. I am very confident in that. His family will be there. This is going to be great. I think he is about as close to a lock as there is behind Schwarber and Harper.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he certainly should be in the All-Star game. He has picked up right where he left off last year. It's not just like this is where he grew up going to baseball games.
Phillies
in fact, my huge Phillies fan, like and a young Phillies fan. I mean, this is a team. Bryce Harper means a lot to Nick Kurtz. So this isn't
get in line, Nick.
Honestly, and to be honest, I'm not even like sure what Mike Trout's history as a Phillies fan is, if there ever really was any to any significant degree.
Mike Trout didn't have time to watch or root for baseball teams as a kid. He was too busy playing, probably. And
his dad playing the minors, and
dad playing the minors. So Phillies fan Mike Trout is not like a character we have. Mike
Kurtz,
Trout
though,
is like Eagles area, South Jersey, our way. Kurtz is Lancaster, which is not actually that close, like geographically, as far as driving is. It's close. It's culturally part of that world, as far as fandom is concerned.
And most relevantly, there's just significant documentation and him talking about how important the Phillies were, and just in general this team and going to the stadium and those memories. So I agree with you. This is a no-brainer. He's also a I mean, I might pick him to win. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's we'll see once we get there and we see what the field
It'll
looks
be
like. But especially left-handed hitters. I mean, Philadelphia is pretty homer friendly to all fields, but this
to
is
all people,
someone
all
that's going to
types.
be yeah. So I won't be too biased towards the lefties, but yeah, he should be in it, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'd like to bring up Aaron Judge's name here. Judge is hurt. We're not even going to talk about him. The Judge Derby performance in Miami, I will remember forever because he was just mishitting home runs in a way that no Derby participant has really done before or since. At least Stanton sort of did this in San Diego in 16. But Judge, you remember, he would like hit a ball off the end to the opposite field and it would just go out because his home run prowess is not built on bat speed. It is built on strength. Those two things are similar and different. I think Kurtz could be the closest we've seen to that style of home run hitter. You know what I mean? Like he's going to not get balls on the barrel and they're still going to go. And I think that does give him a really good shot. Let's keep rolling here. Munetaka Murakami, currently on the IL. It's his hammy. That's going to put his All-Star participation in doubt. He's not expected to return until like pretty close to the break itself, I believe. I really hope he gets healthy. Whatever they gave, they should find like a Scooble Scope type deal for his hamstring, send him to Germany, give him Kobe Bryant blood. I don't care. All right. Let him take steroids like, Conor McGregor's fake broken bones. Like, let's get Murakami in the Derby at any cost.
Yeah, I hope so. This would be a bummer to miss out on him. At the very least, it's someone that has already shown us enough that this is something to look forward to next year.
Yes.
And which, by the way, would be in Chicago, right? If I'm not mistaken, that would be in Wrigley. So not at the rate, but still would be very, very, very cool. But that one if he was healthy, he would be one of our first picks. So we just have to kind of cross our fingers.
Junior Caminero deserves to be there. Cal Raleigh winning last year was amazing. Cal, who won't be there this year because he has been bad and hurt and just got back. Nice little moment for him last night with a go-ahead single, not a homer. Obviously, Cal won't be there. Cal beat Junior Caminero in the finals. Junior Caminero, who put up quite a performance. He had 15 in the finals, which is like with a shorter clock. Pretty good. Mm-hmm. Cal came roaring back to beat him. Caminero deserves another bite at the apple. His home runs are so fun. He is the epitome of a star in a small market that doesn't always get that much screen time on the national stage, who has a chance to make his name in the Derby.
Yeah, I mean, after last year, it was so clear, okay, he's going to come back and try and win this thing. Is that going to be this year? I don't know. I'm not sure. He's also a worthy All-Star, so I expect him to be there. Oh, I mean, there's other competition. I don't know if it's 100% certain that he's going to be there, but I'm pretty sure he's doing decently well in the voting. So I would love to see him in it. He was a treat to watch last year, and if he wants to try and come and win it, that would not surprise me, and I would support it. But I also note that he is the only one that you have listed in this dream field here that was in the Derby last year. So how much of a new field are we going to have?
Hopefully not that new, as my last Dream Derby pick is one Mr. Pete Alonso. Now, Pete Alonso will probably not be at the All-Star game. He's having a decent season in his first year in Baltimore. But let's think big. Pete Alonso participated in every single home run derby from 2019 to 2024. 19, 21, 23, 22, 22, 23, 24. That's 5 straight. Okay. He wins the first 2 and then just needs one more win to tie Ken Griffey for the most ever. Not very good. His performances get worse over time. But the way that this man cares about the Derby, the way that his identity is tied up in it, the seriousness and the intensity with which he approaches the Derby is both super dorky and corny and endearing and entertaining, and provides the theatrical dynamic with like a real heel, like a villain, like a wrestling bad guy. And in Philly, where he is not beloved for his time as a Met, oh, like it would be perfect. Now, I don't think he will do it because if he's not an all-star, I doubt he'll be there, especially this season. He just had a kid over the winter, so I don't think he wants to be away if he doesn't need to be. But I think that a derby without Pete Alonso is a derby not at its best.
Yeah, I mean, we dealt with this last year, and it was fine. I think we are in general much higher on Pete than the average baseball fan, and I think that most people do not care to see Pete in this anymore. But I am mostly in agreement with you. But I would honestly feel way more compelled by it if he had done it last year. Like if he was trying to keep the streak alive. The Philly part of it, sure, I guess. That doesn't really care, especially since he's not on the Mets anymore. Like I just don't really care about that anymore. So he would not be in my list. But I understand where you're coming from.
So then who would you have?
Well, I mean, the number of guys you're leaving out, and I don't blame you. It's hard to pick just 8. In terms of like the story of the season, guys that have been hitting home runs this year that have earned their way into the home run derby, Yordan Alvarez is someone we want to see, but unfortunately he falls in the same bucket as Trout that like I don't expect him from a durability standpoint. And he's been durable this year. God bless.
Astros were like, please do more physical activity.
Yeah, that is super doubtful. Jordan Walker is someone who certainly mashed his way into conversations. When we're thinking about guys who we want to see hit home runs, you want to think about the guys with the most raw power. We mentioned some of them like Murakami and Kurtz. I think Jordan Walker fits that. I think Joe Adele fits that. I think someone from last year who was unbelievable and I would happily watch again is O'Neal Cruz, who's also having a good season. I would love to watch him again.
On the IL.
So those are some names.
He's out for
and then
like a month.
And then, we don't even have him listed on the sheet, but it would just be, I mean, Juan Soto was pretty freaking awesome in this event. Watching him do it in Philly would be great. And Julio Rodriguez has given us some of the greatest home run derby performances of all time, and we have not seen him in it for a few years. So do I expect those guys to do it? No, but, not saying their names is bad podcasting.
If you want to go full Philly, Christian Walker with the Astros, Kevin McGonigal with the Tigers, Zach Gallen.
I'm glad you mentioned Christian Walker because for my power rankings this week, I just wrote about potential first-time All-Stars for every team. And Christian Walker has never made the All-Star team. Now, I don't think that he's never made the All-Star team. 3-time Gold Glove. He's one of the more accomplished position players to have never made the All-Star team. I think because Yordan is a lock with the Astros, I don't know if Christian Walker is going to get in. But I also wouldn't be shocked if he makes it in after a few injury replacements or whatnot. And if that happens, I think seeing him in the home run derby would also be, I think most fans would be like, who is this? Who cares? I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool if Christian Walker got that opportunity.
It would be nice for him.
Uh-oh.
All right, Jordan, let's take a break.
Wait, hold on. Yankees fan producer, Andrew Hartz, you're right. Say his name, Ben Rice. Sorry.
Ben Rice is probably going to be in the Derby. Yeah. Ben Rice will be in the Derby.
I mean, he's certainly one of the first people they're asking. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Does he seem like someone that would want to do it? You probably have a better sense than me than I do.
I think he would want to do it. I think what he would do is he would go to Judge. Like he'll ask Judge, should I do this? And Judge will say, yeah, you should do it. And then he'll do it. James Wood, CJ Abrams. Also
James Wood is absolutely not doing it again, at least anytime soon after last season. I know he ended up, it was exhausted. Okay. Like he rallied in the beginning. It was very bad. Abrams would be fun. I'd
be in on. It's a different type of power. Like what I could see Abrams doing is putting together an unbelievable first round and then getting gassed.
Totally.
Right.
I would be
but he's like been one of the breakout stars of the season. Like he's been so good.
For sure. I wouldn't hate
he likes the moment.
Yeah. I would hope that he wouldn't. Let's not forget what happened to Jazz.
Abrams is a different kind of hitter. Abrams is a different kind of
yeah, but they're both
so
skinny.
Much more physical than Jazz. No. Yeah. Abrams was that. He is not.
Okay.
Jazz is as like lean and wiry as it gets. Yeah. As someone who spent a year seeing each of these two people every day,
Sure, that's true.
When you were around the Nats all the time, CJ Abrams looked like Jazz Chisholm from a wiry physical perspective, maybe.
Yeah.
Now it is different. Like, he is heftier.
Okay, that's
Not like
that's
fat,
I
but
would
like
then
he's
I would
more muscular.
I'll say I think it's more likely we see him than James Wood just because of James Wood's
Sure.
experience last year.
Buxton,
But I think Ben Rice, Buxton. I mean, Buxton did it last year. I would be surprised. It seemed like he got to do it. That was also at home in Georgia. I don't think he's going to be
Ellie De
back.
La Cruz, if he wasn't hurt. Colson
That'll
Montgomery
happen
could
some
be
year,
fun.
but not yet.
Matt Olson as a heel instead of Pete would be good as a Brave in Philly. Just throwing ideas out there. I think the worst guy. Who's the worst guy that could end up doing it? Like the guy that could do it that you're like, oh, please. Muncy?
He's done it before. I mean, he's fine.
Brandon Lau?
Oh, yeah, that's probably the answer. That's at least the one that I would be least interested in watching. Not that he hasn't earned it. I mean, that guy's hit a lot of home runs.
You know who would be good as like the stand-in bad guy? Michael Harris II. That would be good because he's going to be there. He's been so good.
Yeah. No, that's true. If they want to pick someone for the Phillies fans to boo, there's honestly a lot of options. All right, let's take a break. Thank you again to producer Andrew Hartz for Ben Rice. That was bad on our part. Yeah, Ben Rice is totally going to be in it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we return, a few more topics before we say goodbye.
First Ivy Leaguer in the Derby? Welcome back to the end of Baseball Barbacast. Before we get out of here, let's go around the league. Too often on the show and in this life, we're worried about, concerned, spending too much time on the injured, on the hurt, on the bad news. That's what the news is these days. It's bad news, Jordan. It's nothing but bad news. Let's do some good news. Welcome back to a trio of ball players that have been crucial characters in our ball watching lives over the last couple of seasons. Tommy Edman, Cal Raleigh, and Hunter Brown are all off the IL. Of these three, I would imagine you are the most excited to see Cal.
Yeah, I mean, that's fairly obvious. I think it's probably true of most people that are listening to this. But let's talk about Tommy Edman quickly because he was such a main character in 2024. And then last year, I mean, he was playing, he was on the team, he started all of the World Series games, but he just was kind of there. Tommy, I mean,
you remember?
Am I wrong? Did Tommy Edman have any signature moments?
You could have told me that Tommy Edman was out for the whole season and I would have believed you. And at the beginning of last year, remember how high we were on Tommy Edman? We were doing that dumb game, How Many Edmans? How many Edmans would a team take over their current player? Right? How many Edmans would they want on their roster? And now he's just kind of also there. They designated Santiago Espinal for assignment to the Dodgers. Edman will see time at second and in the outfield. He's a valuable piece because he's a guy who does a lot of things for a ball club. And now one of those things will be playing baseball games.
But I think maybe that's why I'm intrigued by him, because last year he just wasn't that good. He had an 82 OPS plus. He dealt with injuries last year. He did play in the postseason, but as I mentioned, I'm sure he had some big hit at some point because they won a bunch of postseason games. But I do believe that Tommy Edman's good. They extended this guy. They paid him. They said, you are an important piece for us. And yet, he just, let's see, because he's talented enough to become a relevant part of the team again. But he has to prove it because he actually has not really been a true impact player for the Dodgers for a while. As for impact players, let's talk about Cal Raleigh, who returned last night after hitting 1 million homers in AAA over a 5-day span. And it's just it's just nice to see the Mariners win and get the last out, and it's Cal Raleigh. God bless Johnny Pareda and Mitch Garver for holding down the fort and producing. The Mariners catching production while Cal Raleigh was out was well above average. They got exactly what they needed during that stretch. But of course, the Mariners season is still going to depend on Cal Raleigh getting back to maybe not MVP runner-up form, but legitimate one of the most important players in the American League. He, of course, is still capable of doing that. And now he has the chance to go ahead and remind everybody that even if he's not going to be at the All-Star game
Yeah.
or be in the MVP conversation, that he's still one of the most important players in baseball.
I went on Seattle radio a couple days ago, and they were asking me about the Mariners, like what's the difference between this year and last year? And I was like, well, the guy who had 60 homers has been hurt and bad. Like that, really, like I know that it's not that simple, but like that's it. Like if the Mariners had 60 home run Cal Raleigh cooking this season, they would not be just one game over 500, right? Like it's not that complex. Things that are complex, the Houston Astros are complex, and they really do need Hunter Brown to come back. Yeah. They've kind of righted the ship as of late. They've been playing better ball over the last month in Houston. You cannot count them out until you see the EKG machine go flat. That is especially true now that Hunter Brown is back. He has been one of the best pitchers in the sport over the last year and change, and they are better when he's in the fold. A team that is better with me in the fold is the Washington Nationals. I am obviously kidding, though I have been immensely lucky to live in a city where the ball club is bopping. These Nats are currently 39-35, 4 games above 500, third place in the NL East, in a wild card spot as of right now, tied for a wild card spot. The Nats, Jordan, the Nats.
You know what? There's a lot of differences, so just bear with me. But what it does make me think of is when I moved to the Cincinnati area, and I got there at the end of 22 when they were awful and boring, and I was like, oh my God, this is the team that I live closest to. This is so bleak. And like, this is what you were kind of dealing with last season. I feel like you're like, oh no, how long is this team going to suck? And then 23, especially in the middle of the summer with Ellie and McLean and I guess that was the end of Votto, was a thrill. And like the ballpark was alive and there was all these fun games. I was like, oh my God, how lucky am I that I get to watch the beginning of this? And that petered out and I moved away, whatever. But look at this. You're now getting to watch a team that is competitive, that is winning, that is fun to watch, that has all-stars, that has, things that are right, but also still moments where it's like, oh, wait, hold on. They're not really ready to win yet. They have that disaster in San Francisco. But hey, man, they're being more consistent than a lot of these other teams, and you got to give them credit.
They're playing fun, entertaining baseball. They have a plan. They're sticking to it. Their process is good. There's accountability in the room. Blake Butera has been just a revelation, in my opinion. He's done such a good job so far. He needs to get ejected. More on that later. He hasn't got ejected yet, and I need him to really show the fury and the anger. What is compelling to me is that the ballpark and the crowds haven't quite yet met the excitement in the fan base. Now, there's a number of reasons for that, comparing it to Chicago or even St. Louis. The Nats have been bad at home. They are 5 games under 500 at home and 9 games over 500 on the road. If you compare that to the Cardinals, 5 games above at home. The White Sox are 12 games above the line at home. And so they haven't really had these like trademark moments against good teams in a packed stadium. I think in the same way that the White Sox definitely had over the last week with the Dodgers and the Braves in town. Great game last night with Curtis Mead going deep for a go-ahead homer. That's against the Royals on a Tuesday. Once that happens and we see that move in that way, then I think it'll be really time to get excited if it's not already. One encouraging thing is that, to me, is that CJ Abrams is leading the All-Star voting. I think that's a real sign that, one, this fan base is engaged in a way maybe they haven't been in the past couple of seasons when Abrams and Wood have been really good. And 2, that his skills are being recognized across the entire league.
Totally agree. Just looking at the Nats' home schedule. So they go to Tampa this weekend. They got 4 against Philly next week. Yeah. Now, that's still weekdays, which makes a difference. But let's go a little bit
all
further.
Night games.
After that,
All night games, though, dude. All night games,
and
there'll be Philly fans coming down. Like, I think next week, if they play well in Tampa.
Yep. However, after that, they got a 9-game homestand going into the All-Star break. Pirates, Astros, Yankees. The New York Yankees are there for that last weekend before the All-Star game. Now, that last week of the All-Star game is always weird because it's like, I mean, we're always distracted because we're already at All-Star or whatever. But
tree falls in a forest.
Again, a weekend series against the Yankees going into the break. That's something that happens every year. The team that rolls into the break on like a sweep or feeling good, you just like have this, you get to hold this aura for like an extra 4 days that you normally don't, because baseball puts you back in your place. Every year there's a team like that can, and now it could be the opposite. They could just get their ass kicked by the Yankees.
It's like having a chunk of strawberry. You know when you eat a strawberry and some part of it gets stuck in your teeth, and then like you fish it out with your tongue, and then you're like, oh, that's still good. You know?
Interesting comparison.
Has this ever happened to you?
I know what you mean. I don't know if that perfectly encapsulates the feeling of your team sweeping going into the All-Star break, but I see what you're saying.
One more thing before we get out of here. Carlos Mendoza, Mets manager, got ejected last night. That is his first ejection of the year. Mendoza is a very level-headed individual, and his ejection over bad ball and strike calling when the Mets used both of their ABS challenges early. Hilarious. I knew we would see this. We did. His ejection has me slightly worried about the Mets operation. They are not playing catastrophically anymore. They most certainly have not gotten hot. They lost the first 2 games of a series in Cincinnati. They are now 9 games under. Just something to think about. And a good opportunity to look at the ejection leaderboard, where it stands right now. 2 skippers lead the line. That is the current Pirates manager, Don Kelly, and the old Pirates manager, Derek Shelton, who is down in Minnesota. They have both been hooked 3 times. John Schneider, Craig Stammen, Aaron Boone, Clayton McCullough, Craig Counsell all have 2. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 managers with no ejections. Jordan, last year, only 1 manager in baseball did not get ejected. That was Cleveland's Stephen Vogt. How many goose eggs do you think we finished the season with, and which managers don't get tossed?
Yeah, Vogt, to be clear, was the only one that went the whole season. There were a couple guys that did not manage the whole year that did not get ejected, like Wash and Derek Shelton, I guess, before he got fired. Bud Black did not get ejected. How many finish with 0? I believe that Vogt will not be alone in that this year. I think multiple managers will go 162 without being ejected. And frankly, I think that the challenge system has a lot to do with it. I know you just mentioned an example with Mendoza that because they were out, he was like, great, time to chew out the ump. I think that this has absolutely lessened the amount that managers are yelling, anyone on the bench is yelling about the strike zone. And whether that's a good or a bad thing, you can argue from an entertainment standpoint, but I think it's relevant, and I do think it will lead to fewer ejections.
I love that both Blake Butera, a man who leads with kindness, and Pat Murphy, a man who leads with banter, both are at 0 ejections.
Walt Weiss surprises me, but also it doesn't because they've been winning so much.
He's
like
if the
Braves,
if
the Braves go through
put Josh
a skid,
Donaldson in a headlock during a game.
Yeah, that's true.
0 ejections.
Yeah,
Walt Weiss has tackled more opposing players than ejections this season.
Donaldson, or are you referring to a different incident, or are you talking about the Jorge Soler one? You said Josh Donaldson.
I'm talking about 2 different incidents.
Oh, okay.
You don't know about that?
No, I know. I'm thinking about this year when they had the situation where he tackled Jorge Soler.
Yeah,
and
both are true.
But he has not been ejected, but I think they're just winning too much. But he's an easy one. Like if they lose 3 in a row, Walt Weiss he'll make sure that he gets tossed. Yeah, I'm not worried.
Gets his money's worth.
All right,
we hope that you got your money's worth on this episode of Baseball Barbacast. Thank you to Andrew Hartz for producing. I am off to Nats Park to revel and bask in the energy that is this baseball team. More World Cup on today. Excited for that. I've been mainlining it. Last night, the game which you lost against Austria was the first game I did not watch live. So I have FOMO I need to recover from. That's all I got, Jordan. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, y'all. BaseballRobbercast@gmail.com. We'll talk to you on Friday. See ya.